Hello! Hey everybody, welcome to Prop Live Q&A, your weekly prop and costume show where we answer your questions. Oh no, oh she's on the keyboard. Oh, this could be bad. I'm here with two special guests, apparently. This is Buddhacat, and the fluff ball that just walked on my keyboard is Willow. So they're going to help me answer your prop and costume questions this week. And I am Brittany, in case you were wondering. I don't know if I said that already. It's hard to concentrate when there's a cat stepping on your keyboard. And action. Hello to everyone in the live chat. For you new people, our chat is called the Prop Tarts. So hello, Prop Tarts. It's good to see you. There's a lot of really cool people in there, a couple of streamers, so make sure you go follow all their stuff if they mention they are a live streamer. And let's see. Yep, they're crazy. Our cats are crazy. So I just want to start off talking about how awesome Emerald City Comic Con is, or was this year. It's awesome every year, but this year Emerald City Comic Con was incredible. We had a meetup for the Punished Props community, and a ton of people showed up. A lot of them were in costumes. It was really neat to see everyone. It was also kind of crazy and overwhelming, but I had a great time. I hope you guys did too. I hope I got to say hi to you. I was kind of running around like a crazy person, like you do. And but it was great. Bill had 3 panels, and I actually didn't get in the first 2 because they were packed. They were already packed, and I was like, I don't want to take someone's seat. I've probably heard some of this stuff. So, hey, yeah, and we got some new people in the chat, so welcome. Prop Tarts for life! The third panel I got to see of Bill's was on Sunday, so I actually got into it before it filled up. I guess we just need bigger panel rooms for the cosplay scene, because they were all packed. I got to see him do the Cosplay on a Budget panel with Steve from Solo Roboto, and they did a really good job. They talked about a lot of really neat stuff. Of course, no one recorded it, so it's lost forever, but if you ever see Solo Roboto doing that panel again in your area, definitely go see it, because I learned a lot from it. So that was really cool. What else do we do at Emerald City? I'm petting a ghost cat over here, if you're wondering. Downtime Props is wondering when you guys are planning on visiting Disneyland. We have season passes, and the new Star Wars exhibit is a must-see. We're going to go to Disney next week to see my family. Bill is already down in California, but we're only going to be down in Disney for like a day, and that's just to say hi to my family, because my sister's going there with her kids. So the Star Wars thing won't be open then, I don't think. But we're going to come back next year, because Bill's obsessed with Star Wars, so that is definitely going to happen. I don't know if anyone else is suffering from the post-con crud, but I'm a little sick. Still good though, just my voice is all weird. But I couldn't not record today. 'Cause I mean, come on. Gotta hang out with my Prop Tarts. Let's see, we talked about the Punished Props meetup. That was awesome. Bill's panels were cool. Oh, also on Friday morning, we ran around with a couple of raised blasters that Bill had cast. It was all the ones we had so far. And I had a camera recording, and Bill ran up to Ray cosplayers and gave them the blasters. And it was awesome. We recorded the whole thing. There's a video up on our site for the Ray blaster giveaway. And it was really cool. I was super nervous about it, because I know if a stranger approached me with a camera at a convention, I'd be super wary, especially as a female cosplayer. You kind of have your guard up all the time, looking out for cosplay creepers. But they were all super awesome. I think out of everything, Bill was the most silly and awkward, but that's just how he is. He just improvs and has a silly time. But it was great. It was great to run into Ray cosplayers. We ran out of blasters really fast. Turns out Ray cosplays are like Deadpools now. There are tons of them, and they were all awesome. And a lot of them already had their own blasters that were really cool, so that was neat. Hey, Scorpion in the chat. Yes, for those, here, I'll post the link. For those who want to play bingo, so my guest is Buddhacat, so he does not have a mohawk, so anyone that gets that bingo for the guest, it's not going to work out. If there's one for the guest sleeping, then maybe you'll be able to get a bingo. Awesome. So what else we got? I think that was it. So let's get started with the questions. You guys already submitted a ton of awesome questions, so thank you for that. You made my job easier. Usually I'm the one doing the show notes and Bill is the one answering the questions, so he doesn't look at them beforehand. But since I already kind of looked at the ones I've gotten, I won't sound like a complete idiot. Bill's way better at thinking on his feet, but I'll do my best. Also, our chat is a wealth of information, so feel free to just ask them questions in the chat. If you have a specific question you want me to answer, I'll put the link in the chat. Boop. Submit your questions at punishprops.com/live. I already have a lot of them, but if I do run out, I'll just hop over to my email folder where all those questions get dumped and start answering those. Hi, Jarman Props. It's also super warm in here right now. I have a giant box light over there, and I have a really warm cat on me, so I'm just really hot right now. Like, I had a cute hoodie I was gonna wear, like a warlock one. It's not gonna happen. So instead, you just have a crazy cat lady shirt. I mean, I can't move. I'm also kind of bummed because I have beer, but it's out of reach. I didn't plan ahead. Just when I started setting up, this guy got on me, so sorry about that. There's no drinking for me on this stream, unless I move him. Hi, VexFX. Yeah, we need to update the bingo. I have a lot of common things that I say. I'll repeat myself, like the word stupid before things. Yeah, out of reach beer is the worst. All right, let's get started with some questions. Hank M asks, what are your thoughts on Foamwerks tools? That's W-E-R-K-S, Foamwerks tools. Are they a valuable investment? Let's see if this works. All right, so Foamwerks tools. I've seen these posted around. It looks like they're designed for working with foam board, that kind of board that has the like smooth exterior with a little like foam interior. And that picture there looks like it's used to make little model kits. And it comes with all these different tools. You can buy these separately. The whole kit is only like, it's under $50, and it comes with a metal ruler, which is important when we are working with blades. I haven't used these. They look pretty cool. I don't know how well they work with floor mat foam. It looks like you can adjust the blades on those so they extend farther, but I don't know if they would extend far enough for my liking. I really like to use the extendable blades, the snap-off blades, and extend them almost all the way, and then have them at a very extreme angle when I cut through foam. But these do look pretty cool. I think they have ones that make circles too. So yeah, I mean, if there's a certain one that looks like it would work for you, you can buy them separately and see if you'd want to get the rest of the set, or just ask for it for a Christmas present, because it has good reviews, so they're probably awesome. But I don't know how good they are for foam. That's the question, really. Phoenix Survival says they are proprietary blades that just annoys the crap out of me. Oh, so they're not interchangeable. Like, can you not put other blades in there? Because that would be a super bummer. If you do end up going with any kind of kit, you'll want to make sure you get a knife sharpener. I like the Kershaw knife sharpener. It's the one that Evil Ted Smith recommended, and I mean, it still works great. I don't know if we're ever going to need another one. because you don't want to work with dull blades, and even if you're just using that foam board, once those blades dull, then it's just going to leave a jaggedy mess. So make sure to keep your blades sharp. Hey, Pat says he got them for Christmas. It's good for foam core. They're awful for floor mat foam. Hey, look at this. The chat is already done the testing. I wonder if it would be good for like 3mm foam, like the foamy stuff you can get at Joann Fabrics or Michaels. Oh, cool. Yeah, people are linking their awesome work in the chat. Feel free to do that. Share all your work with everyone. And if you have any questions about your work, feel free to ask the chat. They are super smart. Awesome. Well, that question was from Hank M, and I hope we helped answer it. I'm sure we'll end up with those accessory kits eventually just to try them out. But until then, you guys are on your own. All right, what do you have to say about that question, Buddhacat? Anything? No. No, he's got no opinion. He has claws, so he doesn't need any knives. Kismet wonders if a culinary knife sharpener would work as well as the Kershaw. I don't know. We have one of those. I know the culinary one's called a honing blade. I don't know. It looks like a file, but it's round. At least the one we have is. So I don't know what that compares to with a knife sharpener, if they're made of the same things. I'm sure the chat will have some answers. They're down below. You'll probably see all their good responses pop up. I know I haven't tried it. Actually, I think Rob, Bill's brother, uses a kitchen sharpener for his foam. Now that I think of it, whenever he brings his tools over, he has it with him. So I suppose it works if he uses it. Okay, Wade asks, I'm making a Young Justice Black Manta costume and don't know how to go about the design of the helmet. How would you go about it? Grab the picture. This is a really cool helmet design. I really like it. I haven't seen the show, but I'm like already in love with this character. I see why you'd want to cosplay it. Right away, I definitely think this would be a foam build. It's kind of hard to see, but there are these like 3 vent things. So for templating it, I would definitely go check out Evil Ted Smith's videos on YouTube. He has a lot of foam templating videos, and I'll link to those in the chat below. But I think for me, I would template the shoulders, the neck, and the helmet all out of either thick paper or cardboard, and then move a lot of that over to foam. Some of this, like this curved piece on top, I bet could be one piece of foam. I bet you don't even need a dart, because when you heat up foam with a heat gun, you can bend it to that shape. So a cardboard template won't work too well for this. I'd probably do a template out of foam, and then if I need to make modifications, I would just use more foam. So, but foam's pretty cheap. So I'd probably make this part twice to get it the exact shape I want. Something to think about in this design is a human head will not fit to be able to look out these glowing eyes, which is kind of good because that means you can make these solid glowing eyes and make them look really cool. We have 2 video tutorials. One of them's just on our Skyrim Draugr glowing eyes that kind of goes over how to light acrylic to have a cool glow effect. I did almost this exact thing for my Bleach hollow mask. We also have a video for that. I'll link both of those down below. But what I would do is actually cheat the shoulders and the neck and have everything raised up so your head is actually down here and you can look out this dark spot. So you wouldn't even have to worry about looking out the eyes. You could have the head be that unrealistic head shape, and also look a little taller too, because these shoulders look. I mean, like this is a kind of a cartoon, but they're pretty thick, like the shoulder armor. So you could have all of this raised up and have your head be down here, have the kind of illusion, this cowl illusion that you're just a little bit taller than you are. You won't be able to move your neck, but it's cosplay. I mean, how often can you actually move your neck? I would also make as many vents as possible if you're going to just wrap yourself in foam. Those vents I would make actually real, and maybe add some on the back. I don't know what the back of the helmet looks like. But I'm excited to see this design. Definitely let me know if you finish it. Link it to our Punished Props Facebook page, because that's a really cool character. Oh, Avatar is on his way. I don't know if it'll go longer than usual. It all depends if Buddhacat moves or not, because he is sleeping on me right now. If he moves, I can get a beer, and then I can stream longer, but no promises. Rocket Man Prop says, range of motion is for dancers, not cosplayers. I agree. Huh. Tried it at home says he would make the mask out of a hard material so he could peck people with it. Actually, if you make it out of a soft material, that can take impact, which is one of the reasons we like coating our foam in latex, because then you could compress it and it's fine. It'll just spring back into place. When Bill, I think it was like the first year we met our friend Alyssa, who did an amazing Rex cosplay. We didn't realize she made her whole Rex head. She sculpted it out of clay, made like a plaster jacket or a mold out of it, and then cast it in, I think, flexible foam. So we didn't realize her giant Rex head was flexible foam until she headbutted Bill with it. And Bill had that second of freak out of this giant head coming toward him, and then it squished his face and bounced off. And it was pretty incredible. So that was kind of neat that she could go around and headbutt people. All right. Thank you, Wade. Good luck on your Black Manta costume. Ender says that costume looks like it's going to be too warm. Oh, this is her cat's real name is Ender, but I named him when he was a kitten because I thought he was going to be smart. And in Ender's game, Ender's very tiny, and he was a super tiny kitten. And then he grew up to be fat and dumb, so that's why we call him Buddhacat. So he has two names. You really shouldn't be allowed to name your pets until they're adults, because that's when you realize what their personality actually is, instead of being the blank slate of a baby animal. All right, our next question comes from Deathbright. I'm going to make Princess Serenity's crown, and I'm thinking about using resin to make it mostly see-through. However, I've never made anything like it. How would I start? Would clay be a good start? I think it would be a really cool challenge to try and mold and cast a crown. Let's see. I think I have a picture of it. Boop. It doesn't look like it's normally transparent, but I could be looking at the wrong one. Let's see. Can I make this a little bigger? Nope, it's just like that. There is actually... Here, let me bring up... Forgot about this. Let's do this. Alright, so definitely go check out Volpin Props. One of his older builds, the Cassandra build from Soul Calibur. He did a really neat technique that seems like it would work for that crown. Let's see, yeah. So he does a lot of really awesome sculpting, so definitely go follow his work. This is like a arm brace, bicep bracer. It goes under the shoulder armor, and he sculpted it flat. So here's him sculpting it. And I'll link this build in the show notes because it's awesome. And so he had this flat bracer sculpted, and then he molded it flat. Let's see, that's a shoulder thing, which is awesome. So he molded it flat, dusted it with metal powder, poured his resin, and then while it was still curing, he left it in the mold and bent it around a form, and then let it cure all the way. So, and he talks here about the kind of the time frame you had to work with. It would definitely take a couple tries, but that's the neat thing about molding it, is you would get those couple tries. And the thing about making a mold is you could try this with different resins. So, for instance, Harrison put metal powder on his, but you could do the same thing with transparent resin. You won't be able to do it with epoxy if you do this flat method, because it takes too long to cure, I believe. It takes like a day. But like if you get like Smooth Cast 325, You can pour this in here, maybe add some yellow tint, and that stuff cures and like fully cures in a couple hours. It says half an hour, but it really stays. It seems like that one takes longer, and at least in the environment we work in. But that way you can have a slightly transparent crown that way. And you can make a couple different versions if you had a mold, which sounds pretty cool. If I was doing a one-off of this, I think I would just go with really light, thin materials like thermoplastics. So either Worbla, they have transparent Worbla if you did want to go transparent. We really like the PETG plastic. All of those are really flexible, and they're all really flexible and they're not really brittle. I've worked with acrylic before, heat bending that. That's what my Vex Goblin juice box is made out of. And the first attempt at that, I actually snapped. I didn't heat it enough and I bent it and it snapped. But like if you get a like Worbla or PETG, it's very flexible. It's like at least the PETG's like soda bottles, so they can really take abuse. And that would be a great way to get a lightweight crown, but it would be a one-off, so you'd only have one of them. So it's something to think about. If you save it till like the week before the convention, if it's the last thing you make for your costume, I would definitely go with a one-off. But if you have a lot of time and just want to play around, I would totally try and make a mold of that, because that'd be really fun. Also, if German Props is still in the chat, I don't know if he mentioned it, but he makes these awesome Skyrim circlets. I've seen a couple people running around with them, and I believe he does the same method where he casts them flat and then bends them around a head form. I believe. I could be completely lying, but I think that's what he does. Something I would like to try too. Yes, hey Patch, I agree. Rocketman Props is the guy for gems. So if you have any gem questions, go head on over to Rocketman Props on Facebook. Also, he has an Etsy store. Hey Patch is doing more molding and casting experiments. He says boat paint does not make a good casting agent. Good to know. I really think you should just create a website of does this mold or does this cast, and it's just going to be no, no, no. There's a reason that stuff's expensive. It's a lot of complicated stuff in there. I say that, but maybe you'll find a cheaper way, and it will be called Hey Patch, and then we'll all buy it. Yeah, you realize though, Rocketman Props, a couple years from now, you're going to be sick of being the gem guy. Feel free to branch out though. I mean, people, once you make cool stuff, people will follow you no matter what other cool stuff you're making. Don't feel like you have to make something just because people expect it. Like, Bill loves foam. He's going to always make stuff out of foam, but he's been trying out 3D printing, and he's going to incorporate that. Like, if we make a giant foam armor thing, we'll probably put little 3D printed bits into like vents and things in it. So it'll be an awesome mixed media thing. All right. Let's see. Thank you, Deathbright. Good luck on your crown. Next question is from Ray. I've made a few props so far. Iron Man's helmet, Magneto's helmet, Mjolnir, Mjolnir, and currently Captain America's shield. The creating and painting process has gone smoothly, but the smell. Oh god, the smell. For days, these props stunk of paint. Even the Iron Man helm, which I did 2 years ago, still has that distinct stink. I've read just leaving them out on a dry, sunny day will help, but is there a surefire way to eliminate the smell without damaging the prop, or leaving it sitting outside? I'm curious what kinds of paints you're using. I've never had that happen before. I think the only thing we've had that has smelled after everything should be cured is if we didn't mix our fiberglass resin correctly. If it didn't cure quite all the way, that stuff will smell for a very long time, sometimes forever. I have noticed too, the first time we tried a latex build, some of the areas where I have exposed latex on the back of my foam still has that slight latex smell, which to me now associates with Dragon Con, because that's where I wore that costume, so it smells like Dragon Con. But I've never had that with paint. Definitely look at the cans of the paint you have and see if you did follow all of the instructions. Some of them say you have to add your second coat before a certain time or after a certain time, so you either add it within 30 minutes or after 24 hours. If you do it anywhere between, maybe the coat underneath won't cure all the way. So maybe that's what's happening. It's why we tend to stick with acrylics a lot, because they don't smell at all, really. Or it could be your clear coat. So it's something to investigate. To fix the ones that already smell, I would try the heat, but I would use a space heater. We do this sometimes because our shop is really cold. We'll have a giant cardboard box or a garbage can and have a space heater, not touching any of it, but just kind of feeding heat into it, and then put your piece inside of it. So to bring it up to temperature, because you also could just be in a really cold environment. There's a lot of unknowns for that. So yeah, Phoenix Revival points out that airbrushing tends to work better to eliminate smell. It's probably because it goes on so thin. You do really thin layers instead of with a rattle can where you have no control and you just lay on paint. So definitely like try out some stuff, maybe do some small scale tests and see if you can get a painting technique down that doesn't smell with whatever kind of paint you're using. Again, I've never had that happen, but once we got a painting system that works, we haven't really deviated from that. We do want to try automotive paints, so maybe that's what you're using. We haven't had that experience yet. But good luck with your smelly paint costume bits. Just know that's not normal, so there's something up with that. All right, next question comes from Terry Lyons. When embedding something into a casting, such as a steel rod for strength, should you let the first pour of resin cure completely before doing the second pour? Are there issues with multiple pours of resin not bonding to each other? Yes, there are. Don't let it cure all the way. I haven't experienced this personally, but I do know that if you let resin cure all the way and pour more on top, could be delamination where they will just peel apart from each other. What we usually do is let our resin, have the 2-part mold open, pour in a little resin. It's good to brush it in the details anyway to make sure no bubbles get trapped. And then right when it kicks and your thing you're going to embed won't sink to the bottom, that's when you add it. And then pour more resin on top of it. And if it's like a sword, then you close it up and fill it up all the way. So yeah, definitely no wait until your resin is completely cured for that. Yeah, Trident at Home says he loves automotive paint. Yeah, I hear it's cool. It's something we can't use really in our basement. We have it looks like the Dexter Kill Room, which is a big transparent tarp blocking off part of the basement where there's a window with a fan blowing out of it. But it's right below where I am right now, and if we do use something really stinky down there, our living room will smell like it. So that kind of paint you really need to have a really good filtering system for. So next time we move our paint room, that's an investment I think we're going to look into. Oh, yeah, he's retracting his neck. Phoenix Revival says he's distracted by the cat. Yep, and he'll be like this for hours. Like if I'm on the couch, I'm trapped. Without Bill, I don't get any kind of beer refreshments. It's miserable. Yeah, Shiny Robot points out to be careful with flammable paints. I agree. Yeah, where is Willow? Oh, she's not here. I don't know where she went. All right. Thanks for that question, Terry. Corium 9 has a good one. He always has good, like, philosophical questions or, like, out-of-the-box questions. All of these questions are great, too. You guys, like, you think we would run out of questions, but every week, completely new ones. And it's neat because it pushes us to try new things, and then we all learn together, too, which is sweet. Corium 9 says, "Hey Britt, Bill has stated some of his bucket list dream projects. What are a few of your wish list builds?" And he just realized if I did an Arachnia to join with Bio Cosplay's Rat Trap, Bill could be Tarantulas. That is from Beast Wars. If you guys haven't seen that show, I used to be obsessed with Beast Wars. It's on Netflix if you want to check it out. That was one of the shows that made me want to go to school for 3D modeling because I thought it was really cool. It's like one of the first shows that had 3D modeled characters. Also by the same company that did Reboot. Those are some of their studio was like on the bleeding edge of having television shows that use 3D modeling and animation, and it was awesome. And the Beast Wars designs are really neat. However, Silverbolt is my favorite, so that is who I would make a costume of if I was going to. Second would be Waspinator, because he's hilarious. He's like the butt of every joke, and horrible things always happen to him. At one point, he got turned into a cube, like compressed, and he had a little foot sticking out. So yeah, Silverbolt would be my choice. I don't know if Bill saw the show. He probably would not be interested. Rocket Man Props knows some of those the guys from that studio. That's awesome. Yeah, Reboot for the win. Every once in a while I see a Reboot group cosplay, like there's a Bob and everything, and it's awesome. It's awesome seeing that. I would not want to wear the green body paint is probably why. I would never do it. I'd be like Fong or something. Which was an in-joke, because Fong was the texture material that was applied to him was a shiny chrome that was called Fong, and that's still what it's called. It's that show is full of nerdy jokes. Yes, and that really dates how old I am. All right, so other bucket list costume ideas. This was a while ago, but when the Heroes of the Storm first came out, I have it installed right now. I don't have time to play it. I'm also awful at strategy games, but I always log in every week and look at the skins and new characters that they add. And I'm currently obsessed with just the original design of the Leoric, the Skeleton King from Diablo, so the Heroes of the Storm version. I just love that design. It just looks really cool, and it seems like something with my tall, lanky body type I could actually pull off a thin skeleton inside really bulky armor. So I would like to make that one. I don't know if it's going to happen this year, but something I would like to do. Also, I played World of Warcraft and then quit. So 5 years World of Warcraft and then quit before I started cosplay, which is probably a good thing because I would have lost even more of my time cosplaying and playing World of Warcraft. But I always had Night Elf characters, so I'd love to cosplay a Night Elf. I currently, my favorite design is in Hearthstone, there's the League of Explorers. And there's a Night Elf. She's just like wearing a normal explorer outfit, but I think it would be fun to cosplay her. It would be kind of half casual. I could do a little bit of face paint, but the rest of her body is just like normal explorer clothes. And also there's one of her other explorers is just a normal human named Reno. He's kind of like an Indiana Jones character, and I could make Bill wear that. So I think that would be pretty cool. Also, like, we're still playing Fallout 4, so there's that. I definitely want to make some kind of robot from that. That might be our Dragon Con costume this year, is robots from Fallout. We'll see. The Assaultron's my favorite. It kind of reminds me of the Draugrs in the way that you get super annoyed with fighting them, and at first you're terrified of them, because like the Draugrs had their dragon shouts, and the Assaultron has this beam that charges up, and if it charges up all the way, it just decimates you. So I like that character. It's that kind of fun, recognizable but not main character kind that I gravitate towards. Battleborn, I really like all the designs for the Battleborn game that's coming out soon. However, the designs are so extreme, most of them don't look like they could be cosplayed comfortably or at all. So I might end up doing an Overwatch character. They're releasing new skins. Those ones are more like human shape friendly, a lot of them. The Battleborn style is my absolute favorite, but they take it to an extreme that it's like if I made a human version of it, it wouldn't look as cool. Because I'll like have a character that's like the size of a house with ankles that are like toothpicks. And I mean, like I could just be a normal person like that, but to me, I like to nail the silhouette, and I would pretty much just have to make an armature in front of me that was the character, and not actually cosplay, but be behind it, and that to me isn't as fun. Shiny Robot's excited to see Bill's Mr. Handy model that he's working on. Yes, me too. He's molded every piece except the body, so he'll get to that after he gets back from California. But yeah, that's going to be really cute. They're still talking about Reboot in the chat. I love it. Yeah, so that's my current cosplay interest. Last year was easy. We all just wanted to make Destiny costumes, which I still want to do. I haven't gotten to make a Guardian costume yet, so maybe Destiny. We'll see. All right, thank you, Corium9, for your question. Oh, his neck is disappearing. Necks are optional when you're a cat. Munster Marcus has 2 questions. The first one is, how did you guys create the custom undersuit for the Titan and the process that went into that? I am so glad that you asked this question, Munster Marcus, because at first I was like, oh, it's on our website, and then I realized, oh, I don't know if you guys can hear it. Cops are here! Cops! The siren went by. Bill only posted about his undersuit, like a description, a short description of how he got it custom printed, made and custom printed, on Facebook, which is why I keep saying to you other prop and costume people out there that have Facebook pages to get a website, because that post got lost. He posted it a year ago, and I had to go search for it. I found it, I downloaded the image, and I downloaded all the, copied all the information that he had about it, just a little paragraph, and I re-uploaded it to our website. So now it'll exist there forever, and I can actually find it. And it's in the patterns and templates section on our page, but it's right here. Whoop! So this is, it says it's brand new, but this post was originally from last year on Facebook, and thanks to Munster's question, I remembered to go grab it. So this was Bill's first Titan costume he made, and the process he went through to turn it into an undersuit. He bought the PDF pattern from a website that sells PDF armor patterns, and then he kind of pieced it together in a way that he could draw on it in Photoshop. So he just drew on it in this picture here. And then he got it printed through Fabric on Demand. They have this like simple way to just order, they call it superhero lycra suit. I think they have like a picture of a Spider-Man, and it's like a little pre-packaged thing, and he hoped it would work out because it's like $150 to get it printed, and then our buddy Taylor sewed it together for him. So that's how that was made. It was awesome. He really loved it. He accidentally left it in the hotel of a convention he was in California that he was a guest in, and that suit disappeared. So that's why he doesn't wear that one anymore. Conveniently, Lord Shax doesn't have his torso showing. So for Bill's Lord Shax costume, he just wore Under Armour and then tactical pants, because this was actually real foam. He didn't need it to be skin tight for this other Titan. There's his full Titan costume. The armor was given to a friend who is passing it around. This was done with, I think, the epoxy from Smooth On Epsilon, and we rushed it. We did it all in one night, all the Epsilon, because of course we were running late last year, and we didn't get it very even, and some parts were a little too thin. It started to crack. This was supposed to be really flexible. Instead, it became really brittle. So he wasn't too happy with the armor anyway. It's something to keep in mind is when you use brittle sealants to not use it on flexible parts like this. But he got some pictures in it, so there's that. Yes, Scorpion. I know a tailor named Taylor. She is an awesome seamstress, too. Yeah, this is something I would have really liked to do for my Vex Goblin. Again, that costume was finished in a rush before PAX Prime, and I just have a flat black bodysuit under it. I would love to have done something like this, but it's one of those things I said I would add later, and then I was like, I don't care enough about it. I'll just do a cool one for my next costume. So it tends to be what happens. So yeah, so there's that. The other question he had, I'll link that page in the show notes too, the custom printed undersuit, so you can go check out all the information Bill has in there. And we'll add to that page too if we ever do another undersuit with more info. He's finishing a sword from Adventure Time and was wondering that when he casts it, how he'd be able to keep it lightweight yet sturdy as a solid resin sword. Okay, so you want, instead of just making a solid resin sword, you want it to be lightweight. Because yeah, it would get pretty heavy. Also, I noticed at Emerald City Comic-Con, they were pretty strict with their weapons policies, which they have a right to be. It's usually listed on their website beforehand, so you can go read it and check it out. But I think they were turning away heavy props, so ones that were really solid and really heavy. Even some Nerf guns they were holding and like, I don't know. And like our buddy Steve, SKS Props, was like, it's a Nerf gun, it's been disabled, it's hollow. They were just being picky. But it's their convention, they have a right to be, which is why we like to do a lot of foam now. It's lightweight and will probably never have issues at conventions. Tried It at Home says we should all make World of Warcraft costumes and take over BlizzCon. They have incredible costumes at BlizzCon. Everyone I see in costume, even if it's like a joke costume, some like original character, they're all incredible. They just like nail them. Those guys are dedicated. That's one of the reasons I like going to BlizzCon, is just to see the costumes and how clever people are. Like there was a person in a Deathwing suit that was just standing outside with a "The End Is Nigh" sign, like from Watchmen, and I just thought that was super clever. So to make a lightweight sword, you can have your 2-part mold open, brush in resin on either side, and then close it up, and then slush cast some more resin into it, and either leave it hollow, or you can fill it with expanding foam on the inside. I think they do this in the film industry. They fill it with expanding foam. And it doesn't take that much because swords are so thin, but it keeps it lightweight and then adds a little bit of extra, like, rigidity, I guess. I don't know. If it has an impact, it won't just crack and shatter. It might just crack, so you could repair it. I've been wanting to try more of, and I've only done this once. We got some Flex Foamit, and it comes in a ton of different kinds. Bill got it for a Robin costume. He was planning on using it for the belt. He was molding and casting the belt pieces, wanted it to be super light. I think this comes in flexible and rigid. He wanted to get the flexible that self-skins, and it like kind of ends up being like a Nerf weapon, like the ones you see in the stores, like a Nerf sword or a Nerf axe. So it self-skins on the outside of it. The one problem with this is you'll have a very obvious seam, and it will try and expand your mold. I tried it once on Bill's old Mayrune's Razor dagger mold, and it almost turned out. It didn't fill all the way, so I ended up with a dagger without a pointy bit on it, but now I can just stick it into things, which is pretty hilarious. But it is seriously super light, and it might be fun to try if you have a mold already. I wouldn't try rigid foam in it. I believe that will tear apart the mold pretty quickly. But the flexible self-skinning stuff I think is a lot easier on 2-part molds. Oh, Avatar's here! Ta-da! This is my guest. This is Buddhacat. So he's not helping with the questions at all. He is not interested in the least. But yeah, either, and if you want, you can try and add some more strength if you lay in some fiberglass before you close up your 2-part mold and slush cast it. But it's gonna be really hard because you're not gonna get the fiberglass on like the edge bits. But yeah, you don't have to cast it solid. And I kind of like the idea of using the Flex Foamit, but I don't have that much experience with it. You will see if you go to like, we were just at the Sci-Fi Museum in downtown Seattle, which is awesome. If anyone is anywhere near Seattle ever, go to the Sci-Fi Museum. It's also called the EMP. There's a fantasy section, a sci-fi section, but we were looking at some of the old weapons that they had on display, and a lot of them, they weren't necessarily the hero props, but they were totally done in that squishy expanding foam. Because what happens is your mold expands a little bit, and wherever the seam is, you end up with flashing that's almost thick. And they didn't, one of the ones I was looking at, I think it was from the movie Aliens, they didn't even cut the flashing away. They just kind of like left it in some of the trigger areas, because all they needed it to do, it was just solid black, and they just left it like that, because in the background, it looked fine, and they could toss it, and it would be great, and it would work out. Yes, he's totally helping us meditate. Yeah, this guy. Yeah, definitely Kismet. Go check it out. It's totally worth it. Also, they have a Hello Kitty exhibit right now. Actually, if you're going to be there in June, I think the Star Trek exhibit will be there. They're setting it up right now. We didn't get to go see it. It's closed off, but we'll be going back to see all the Star Trek stuff. So, yeah. Thank you, Munster Marcus, for both of your questions. If fax me a beer, I'll be okay. I'll have some later. It's kind of a bummer, though. I should have planned ahead. All right, another two-part question. Yeah, it's Kiwi's talking about stunt weapons. They seem like they're made of a rigid foam, but they have a real thick skin on them, probably brushed or rotoed in before the foam was poured. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, those guys, like, WETA Workshop has like 4 different versions of a weapon. They have like the hero version that's sometimes made out of real metal. Looks good like this close to the camera. But you don't use that because you don't want to damage it or stab someone. Then they have like 2 different stunt ones and then like a 4th one. I forget what it is. But either way, a lot of different versions. Alright, so Team Fett has 2 questions. They're wondering Varnish versus Angelus clear coats. Which do you prefer? I see in Foamsmith 2, available now at punishedprops.com. Varnish is mentioned. Should I use Varnish in certain circumstances and Angelus in another? Are they interchangeable? I think they're pretty interchangeable. The Angelus paints are designed to go on shoes, so they're pretty flexible. The only times we've used the Angelus clear coat is the very first time we worked with latex, which was with our first Destiny costumes. The axe in the book was Bill did the correct way, but what we did was we brushed and sprayed on latex and then added Angelus paint and then added Angelus clear coat. What's happening with my Vex is the color is starting to peel off. The latex isn't, but we didn't put the paint in the latex. So if I had put my Angelus, I think I was using their antique gold, into the latex and sprayed it, that would have stayed on forever, and the clear coat on top would have been fine. Then the clear coat might have started to come off, but it would have looked all right. We so far have preferred Varnish. That is designed to go on like artwork canvases, like flexible canvases. They're both really flexible. I think they're both fine. It seems like Varnish will go a long way compared to the clear coat we got from Angelus. It seems like I needed to spray on more, but I've only used it once. So I think they're both fine. Really whatever you have access to. What did Hey Patch say? He poured the beer into the fax machine. I don't know if that's gonna work. I think you broke your fax machine. Also, who has a fax machine anymore? I mean, come on. I got that question from a company the other day, like, just fax this back to me. And I'm like, what? I'll take a picture of it with my phone, turn it into a PDF, and mail it to you. Because that's all I got. Alright, Team Fett is also wondering, they're working on a Red Hood costume, and he has a bat emblem on his chest. He doesn't want to glue or sew a specific shirt, so not make a shirt from scratch. Maybe have the ability to use straps and be able to use any shirt underneath. I was thinking of using elastic with snaps or a hook and loop. Will this work well with elastic? I didn't want nylon straps across my chest that would need adjustment. Or should I do something else? From what I remember, Red Hood has that... He has that symbol on his chest, but he's like those, he's kind of like ripped, but it's more like he has armor. So he's like kind of like Batman where he has like armor on. So you might want to just go with it's completely useless. But yeah, no, Red Hood's a really cool character. We recently watched his movie that they have on Netflix. It's really good. Definitely go check that out. And now they're talking about faxing in the chat. Awesome. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool Red Hood stuff. That's pretty. Yeah, it looks like people use a lot of different things for that. That one I think just has a custom dye sublimated shirt. I think Snake Pit Studios might sell those. Yeah, Dagger Elk, I corrected myself. You guys, a specific way. You can just find one that you like that looks really cool. That way you can just throw it on and then take it off. Might be the best way to do that. I think I've seen some like Batman guys do that and they looked awesome. Very tactical. Alright. Good luck with your Red Hood costume, Team Fet. I might have said Red Skull earlier. They're not interchangeable, are they? Here, let me look up Red Hood costume. No, Red Skull is freaking, I'm just blanking on it. Captain America. Yeah. This is what happens when you live stream. Your brain just goes away. At the end of a stream, Bill usually comes upstairs and is completely useless. But yeah, no, Red Hood's a really cool character. We recently watched his movie that they have on Netflix. It's really good. Definitely go check that out. And now they're talking about faxing in the chat. Awesome. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool Red Hood stuff. That's pretty. Yeah, it looks like people use a lot of different things for that. That one I think just has a custom dye sublimated shirt. I think Snake Pit Studios might sell those. Yeah, Dagger Elk, I corrected myself. You guys, my goodness. That's fine. I get minus nerd points. I knew it. I just get names mixed up. All right. Boop-a-doop-a-doo. Alice in Wasteland is making a Darth Vader style chest armor. Oh, it's another chest armor one. And it looks too clean. There we go. Let's go back to this. How do I make some blaster damage marks on it or something like that? We went to the WETA booth. They were at Emerald City Comic Con. Super nice of them to come out all the way from New Zealand, come to our silly little conventions. But they had the WETA workshop had a really cool booth, a lot of awesome statues. They had little things to buy. One of the things they had was, I don't even remember what franchise it was from, but they had a giant robot statue. It was like, I don't know, 3 or 4 feet tall. It was on a pedestal. And the things that really struck me about it was that it was a giant mech, and you could tell the scale because it was stepping on a car. So it was really huge, but all the weathering on it was super thoughtful. So when you're going to weather your costume, you want to think about where it's going to be taking damage, what's going to be causing the damage, and the size of the damage. And this giant robot had really cool bullet hole marks on its armor, like the bullets dug into the armor. But the angle of them, what's really impressed me, since the robot was supposed to be really big, which means humans are very small, the shots that were fired at it were directed upwards and like dug into the metal. So instead of like facing outwards or from above, it looked like ground units were fighting it, and it was like a machine gun fire. So it had a shield, and up its shield it had this trail of fire, like a machine gun went up it, but from a downward angle. And just adding that made such a kind of like a believability to the weathering of the armor. So definitely like think about what areas would scratch. Usually the parts that are the most extruded. So like any kind of raised up bits. Like if you have a sharp pointy thing on your shoulder or elbow, the paint would be rubbed off on it. If you're for chest armor, to make blaster damage marks or something out like that, you could do like a cool blaster burn damage, but you kind of think about where it would get damaged. If it's Darth Vader style, you could have some wire sticking out of it, which would be really cool. If it's made out of foam, you can use a rotary tool to dig into it, but like all battle damage, go really slowly and step back and look at it as you go. You can add way too much too quickly. The same goes for weathering. Some things that help battle damage stand out is adding contrast and colors, which is why with weathering, if you like have a black space gun, you weather it with silver, so it looks like the black paint's rubbing off to the silver underneath the gun. Since Darth Vader is probably a lot of dark colors, you try and add some like like yellow ochres or dirt, anything that makes it really, really pop out. All right. Oh, dead goose. So let's see. Darth Vader style chest armor with battle damage. So good luck on that, Alice in Wasteland. I hope it turns out really well. Everything cool? Yep, everything looks good. Cool. Yeah, and if anyone has any questions in the chat, feel free to help them out with all of their stuff. I only have like about 5 or 10 minutes left, so I already have questions lined up. So we'll get to your questions next week. At the end of the show, I delete the leftover questions, then you can resubmit them. So definitely do that. Oh, Rocket Man Prop snagged a couple of pictures of that mech. Thank you so much for doing that. Oh, I'm going to check those out later. Yeah, that was the mech at the WETA Workshop booth. Awesome. All right. Bio Cosplay submitted a question. Who is your favorite superhero and supervillain? I know you like your superheroes and supervillains, so I could see why you'd want to ask this question. Oh, make sure to go follow Bio Cosplay, by the way. I think he might be streaming tomorrow. If I'm lying about that, you better stream tomorrow, because now you have expected people wanting to go watch you stream. Bio Cosplay made a really cool Magneto costume recently. I'm jealous you guys are going and looking at the mech pictures. I'll have to look at them later. My favorite superhero is probably Gambit. I really liked the X-Men cartoon. That's what I used to watch all the time. And it was kind of sort of accurate to the comics sometimes. I didn't get to read too many of the comics, but it was just neat to see that kind of story unfold. And Gambit was that kind of like gray character. And he had a lot of really random cool abilities. I cosplayed as a female version of him a couple years ago, so really like Gambit. I also really like the Tick. I think he's an amazing superhero character. He's really silly and ridiculous. I don't know if I would ever cosplay him, but I saw a Tick in an Arthur cosplay at Emerald City this year, so they still come out. You still see them around. The Arthur had really his big wings extended, and they looked great, but he was having trouble with crowds, so that's something to consider. Yeah, the 90s X-Men. That was a great cartoon. Spoon! Yes, that was the Tick's war cry. If you haven't seen the Tick cartoon, go check that out. It was pretty amazing. For villains, does Darth Vader count as a supervillain? Because he's pretty awesome. All the rest of them are kind of like, my favorite villains are kind of like ones that are kind of gray or sometimes good guys. Because I mean, that's what makes a great villain, is when they're the hero of their own story. So a lot of supervillains are very much like, darkness, like they're just like, I'm evil for no reason, or I want to eat the planet, and that to me isn't as interesting. I mean, they're fine, but it doesn't make me really like the character. Bio Cosplay, I didn't know you had a Gambit costume. That's awesome. Maybe I did know that and I forgot it. Oh, sweet. Hey, anyone working on bingo right now? Yes. That counts as me banning someone, so hopefully someone just got a bingo for that. Oh. I think we're getting a lot of new people because there's a cat on the screen, so I gotta do this more often. And Phoenix Revival, feel free to, if you ever need to, kick out the crazy people. They're just so crazy. Bio Cosplay says, I'll allow Darth Vader. If you're interested in reading a Vader comic, check out Vader Down. It's like 6 issues. Ooh, that sounds like a fair commitment. Avatar, you forgot about the bingo. Willow is disappointed in you for forgetting about bingo. And if anyone's wondering, we haven't made costumes for our cats. They don't even wear collars. They're indoor cats, so they would not appreciate costumes. They would claw me in the middle of the night. It is guaranteed. Now there's cat hair everywhere. If you ever get a prop from us, it's gonna have this signature of cat hair in it, guaranteed. Oh gosh. Awesome. Good question, BioCosplay. Thank you for that. What? What do you want? You want face pets? Alright. Willow face pet break. I have one more question. It looks like it's a long one. This is from Reba Shields. They're currently working out plans for a multiple-armed character, Muffet from Undertale. I remember that character. It was a giant spider thing. And she's usually shown holding tea-set type items in her hands. I've already decided to go ahead and make those arms from mannequin limbs and slush cast masters of whatever props she needs. Anchoring those will come later. But I'm wondering specifically about nulling the weight of the props since the arms are just basically light plastic. What's the lightest material you know of for casting? And about how light is it compared to other materials you've used? Or would it be easier to focus instead on further supporting the arms themselves rather than striking a happy medium? As fun as molding and casting is, I would make her tea stuff from just make original pieces and make them out of foam. You want them to be super light, and just molding and casting it and then making something light out of it sounds like way too much work, especially if you only need 1 or 2 of something. Just make them out of craft foam, or even I've seen people recently use upholstery foam and cover them in fabric if you don't want to deal with painting it. If you just want super light props for the hands, because yeah, those mannequin arms are already going to have a weight to them. Yes, yes, Faka, the floofy cat Willow is, you can't say no to her. Whenever she wants attention, she's super demanding. Kismet, yes, or sparkles. I found a sparkle in the bathroom bath mat today, so they have infiltrated the upstairs of the house, so now we have to move, because the sparkles are not contained to the shop anymore. For those that caught my glitter live stream where I did glitter casting on Tuesday, I edited that video down. You can go check it out on our site. Yeah, definitely just make super light things because those arms are already going to be pretty heavy. Yeah, that is my advice. And it's one of those things we've been talking a lot about molding and casting lately. Just like anything else in cosplay, there's tons of different ways to do things, and there's a lot of different things to consider. And one of them is like, do you need copies of this? How light does it need to be? And we only tend to mold and cast things that we need multiple copies of, and that tend to be smaller. We've done some really big molds before, but that's because we needed a couple copies of the District 9 gun, so we molded and casted that guy. But like for our armor and a lot of our costume stuff, it's all just one-offs, just done out of foam. The only risk you have there is if anything happens to it, you have to remake it from scratch. So there's that. Like if I ever lost part of my costume, it's like, well, time to remake that. But it does always end up looking better the second time, so that's nice. Scorpion says, nuke the site from orbit. Yeah. Sparkles will come for us all, Kismet says. Yep. Well, awesome. That's all of my questions, and it has been an hour already. I now see why Bill says this show goes by really fast. Also, this guy hasn't moved at all, so he has been useless, and now you understand my dilemma every week. I'll be up here in the chat hanging out with you guys with this really hot lead weight on me. If anyone's wondering, he weighs 19 pounds. All right, well, I will end the Q&A stream. And thank you everyone for tuning in. I know it was a little bit rough around the edges this week, especially if you're listening to the recorded podcast later. Thank you for checking it out. Thank you for being here, and thank you for all your awesome questions. You guys are great. The chat was awesome. There's just tons of great information in there and awesome people. Definitely share all of your links of what you're working on in the chat. We have a group on Facebook called the Prop Tarts, because our community is called the Prop Tarts, and that's awesome. So definitely go join that community and share your work there. And it was great to hang with you all this week, and I'll see you next time on Prop Live Q&A. Ding!